Looks like we are live once again on another Purge of the BS. Thank y'all for joining in. I am your host, Hayes, a.k.a. Papa Purge, a.k.a. whatever they calling me today. But I have a really special show, a couple of special folks showing up with me today. I have my man Bricks, my man Bravo, I've got Genesis here, and I've got Yvette Hartley and Nia Freeman in the podcast tonight. We're going to get so much information today because we're about to purge some of this BS. So I'd like to bring everybody on to make their quick introductions, and then we're going to step all the way into tonight's purge. So make sure if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, share the live, and let's get ready to go. Bricks, you with me?
Yes, and I'm handsome.
All right. Can I get a hello from all my panelists? A hello from all my panelists.
How you doing?
All right, making sure I got the sound right here.
Hey, what up, what up?
Let me hear you one more time, Genesis.
I'm like, am I speaking? Hold on. What up, y'all?
There we go. There we go. All right, so.
Yo, Hayes is coming in hot.
I'm coming in hot?
Smoking.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, I'll bring it back. I'm going to bring it back. Bring it back. All right, bring it back a little bit. But I got to give them the disclaimer. So I got my folks in here, and because we have to get started with this thing, I don't want to keep everybody up too late tonight. Everybody's got things to do. So guys, can I give them the disclaimer, please? Bear with me just a moment.
Please.
This is not a test. This is your emergency
Let's
broadcast
go.
system announcing the commencement of another purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS,
all right,
especially
guys.
Unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without prejudice.
I'm ready.
Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but
I
they will be
always
busy
feel like
because they
we're
too
on
will
an
be watching the
episode
purge
of
of
the
the
Wonder
BS.
Years.
Blessed
Like,
be
you know how,
those
like,
who
they
have
would
already
just
been
be playing
victims of
music
some
and
BS.
narrations
May God
going
be
on.
with you all.
And the actors are just sitting there like,
Well, you wonder about that sometimes. So in this particular episode, like I said, we're coming in hot, okay? You said it, and we're going to come in hot on this one. So guys, I have to get you started with our first story of the evening. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news, but because of the recent election, there's been a lot of talk about abortion laws.
oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're coming in hot. Okay,
Really
so
hot.
yeah, super hot.
Can
super
we
hot.
even say that now?
Yes, hey, it's free speech till they tell us we can't say it.
Okay.
Yeah, free till
Funny how much
free
free
till they
speech
make you
can
pay for
cost
it.
you.
Yeah, it's free till they make you pay for it. That's the first thing. So apparently, a hospital has made the decision to force somebody to carry a child to term that's brain dead. And I didn't know if that was, and they said it's because of the abortion laws. And I don't know if they ever discussed that during the campaign, these types of situations. But there's apparently a live baby inside of a person who's brain dead, and they're like forcing the birth there.
I thought that they had some sort of like amendment to that. I thought that was the whole point of what the right was saying, that okay, in certain conditions, okay, we can do this.
This is why I'm asking, because I was under the
What-
same
what'd the father
impression.
say?
What?
Was the father around?
This is
Consulted or
also a
anything?
question. So I'm gonna take y'all into the story here. I see my aunt's face on here. Y'all can't see it, but
Yeah,
I
she
see
backed
this,
up like, what the hell?
What
Show
the
'em out.
hell
What
is
is this?
going on here? You are coming in a little
No,
too hot.
I'm not sure about the law. I know that
Right.
Trump did something. He's doing so many things.
Well, let's
like
go
what
over
he's-
the
that was
story. Let's go over the story. Then I'll go over the story and we'll see what we got here. Okay.
Hey,
I got it.
Papa Burgundy. I mean,
Yes.
Papa Purge. I just want to let you know that because their microphone is a little low, if they're talking, just let them talk and hear them out, because you cutting them off on our end.
Okay. I got you.
The main stars of the show.
Yeah. All right. Well, my hold on a second. My camera's too big. I'm too zoomed in. Hold on. It looks funny to me. Y'all might not be able to see it, but anyway, it looks a little funny to me. You know what?
Let's see.
For right now, it
You got a
just
big
is what
head
it
on
is.
TV.
It is what it is. We're just gonna have to deal with it on this story, okay? So basically, do y'all see the story here? The hospital tells us. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through the story, if it'll let me. If there's anything there. Where's it at?
I don't think you have to hit continue reading, I believe.
Do I? I
But
don't want
even
to
think
download.
that's a link.
I don't want to download nothing.
Oh man.
You see how they get you? You see how they get you?
Fired. Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, there you
You fired. So anyway, they said that they got to carry the fetus because of the Georgia's heartbeat law, which is among the restrictive abortion statutes that were apparently talked about since the Roe v. Wade situation a few years ago. So I feel like you, Bricks, and I'm asking the question, well, isn't there a provision in there for something like that? And then similar to Bravo, what was the father saying? Like, was that the plan before something happened to the woman? Apparently something happened to her. Like she had a brain tumor or something. So it's not like they were planning on not having the baby before then. So I don't know how to feel about it. That's why I was asking. I don't know. It seems weird.
Right. Well, is the woman conscious?
No, she's brain dead.
Oh, she's brain dead.
She's brain dead. So here's the thing.
I thought they said the baby was brain dead.
No, the baby's alive.
Whoa, hold it. Is the baby I thought it's the woman brain dead and
yes, the mother.
And they're pumping her, keeping her going to have this baby?
Yes.
Correct.
Woo, that's some serious stuff.
See, now here's what I'm trying to figure out, like, because I don't know the ins and outs of the law, but isn't there somebody who's a next of kin they could consult, because obviously she can't advocate for herself as being brain dead. Second of all,
probably her husband.
Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay for all of this?
Probably again husband. I feel like there's a husband involved in this and a father.
Well, I think there might be a lawsuit, because if they're forcing you to keep a child to basically feed the brain dead mother to keep a child to term because of some law, and you wanted not to proceed with this child, and you have the say, then they should be paying the bill.
I mean,
that's not going to happen.
It makes sense.
I mean, that's what they should do. But I don't know the law.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if it's the law that's saying it, I thought that there were provisions in this whole thing about medical situations, but that would be if the mother's health was in danger, right?
But the fetus is in danger. Okay,
Right.
The fetus is growing inside a woman that is no longer cognizant, and
Correct.
I personally would keep the woman going and get the baby. If the baby's all the way up to close to term, it's alive. It's ready to come out. And I think it's amazing that we could do something like that.
I heard a doctor say recently, this doctor was retired, and that the concept or the term brain dead is actually false. And the reason why I say that is because if this his rationale was if her organs are working, then the brain is not dead. And they use that in the argument when they try to get organs from people when they, like if they're, like if somebody needs a liver or something like that, they used the term brain dead so they could say, okay, well, we can give these organs to these people. But if she's alive, that means her organs are functioning. What tells the organs to function?
The brain, I thought.
So
the machines attached to her, or the machines doing the breathing.
Yes, but I mean, those machines aren't going to make a person who is unalive, so to speak, those organs work. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so
there's an update on this. They have kept the woman alive 3 months. Okay. And it says she's on life support for 3 months so far to allow enough time for the baby to be born and comply with Georgia's strict anti-abortion law. Well,
okay.
On this instance, I want that baby to come to term. I think it's beautiful that we can keep this going, keep this baby alive.
Yeah, I do have.
My question is, who's wanting the abortion though? Is it the boyfriend?
Yeah. Well, this is why the story is on the Purge. of the BS, because I believe that they're trying to incite people to think that this woman is being forced to do something against her will, and that this is somehow harmful, as opposed to what we're over here saying, which is, well, that seems like what you would do. What would the mother want if she was brain dead and was never coming back? Wouldn't she want that child to have a life? So I don't know. It's like
I think this is rage bait, because who's in charge of pulling the plug on her? Because they're saying like removing the breathing tubes would obviously kill the fetus, but
it seems
who's
like her
saying
mother?
that they should do that? The mom, because she's watching her daughter in pain. How should she decide whether or not her granddaughter comes into the earth?
That's what I'm saying. So it's rage bait. This is AP. This is Associated Press that brought this story. So
because she wanted to carry the child, obviously.
That's why she was pregnant.
Weeks.
That's why she was pregnant. So it's kind of like,
I don't see any mother saying, if I'm out of here, the child got to go. That's up there with lunatic status.
Taking it with me.
Yeah,
that's not right. That's
okay.
That's
all
not
right. Well, I just wanted to make sure that we were at least seeing the BS, because I believe it was like Genesis said. It's like rage bait. They were trying to get people to feel like somebody was doing something wrong to this woman by not letting her have an abortion because she's brain dead and not cognizant to say that she wants an abortion. But why would she want that if that's not what she wanted before she was brain dead? And so that's where my question was.
I think the insertion of the abortion law part, it was a non sequitur from the beginning. Yeah. Because if nobody here, because I haven't seen it, because I watch you scroll up and down, I've been reading. I haven't seen anybody say they did not want to keep the mother alive.
Right.
Well, that's what they said, that they were mad. The relatives were upset about the law. That's what the second paragraph says. Put a pregnant woman on life support. And then they were saying that they don't allow that. So
that sounds like selfish behavior to me, to be honest.
It sounds like they didn't want to take that bill. It sounds
that's what I mean.
Yeah. And then they got to take care of the kid now, because who's going to take care of the kid? That's what it sounded like.
I mean.
They probably didn't even like. Hold on, they probably didn't even like the boyfriend. That's really what it is.
I think it's a
Donald
husband.
Trump should take care of the kid.
They said boyfriend.
Boyfriend. Yeah, right. Yeah, boyfriend's
boyfriend.
Speaking for air and call 911.
Yeah, boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, you have to ask yourself the question also: who's the patient? Not only
a nurse,
right? Not only was the mother a patient, but the child inside
the child's a patient.
Is a patient as well.
Wow.
They have an obligation to the child as much as they have an obligation to the mother
to keep them alive.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy, because if you pull the plug and it's after whatever legal abortion time period is, whatever part of the trimester, I don't know the law on that. But if you pull the plug on the mother, that's a viable person. So you could be charged for killing a person.
You do. And also you have to think about how far we've come. And I might not even use the word we've, because in a lot of cultures, there was a decision that oftentimes had to be made in reference to a child who was being presented incorrectly, or if the mother was bleeding too much, if they had to do some type of C-section and they had to sacrifice the mother as opposed to the baby, there were decisions that had to be made. Maybe the family feels like they don't have a decision. And then also you have to consider the fact that maybe they're concerned that the baby may have issues because the mother is brain dead. Once the mother is brain dead, and also this woman had clots. So maybe, she had clots. So you never know what condition the fetus is in. And maybe the family doesn't feel like they need to take that chance.
Wow. That's an interesting perspective. It's a lot, but it's very possible. It's very probable too.
And last point, a lot of times we give our opinions in reference to any kind of social situation, but it's hard to say if somebody has an inner thought themselves. They're not it's not just surface, it's something deeper. So who are we to give our opinion? The fact is the baby is still alive. They can keep the baby still alive. Why not do that? We do it in other situations. So
that's what I'm saying. So that's when you have to lean on the law on this one. Unfortunately, we can feel how we want, but the law is the law. And if they're outside of the purview for legal abortion and the mother is brain dead, you do have a responsibility to keep that fetus alive.
you also,
Wow.
with a legal abortion, a mother has the opportunity to say whether or not she wants an abortion or not. It's not even
correct.
It's not even that. It's that this is a living person inside of her. So
yeah, exactly.
Yo, you cooking
so
right now.
Jeez.
That's the patient.
You know what? See, this is the conversations that YouTube doesn't want us to actually have, though.
right.
This is real conversation. Like I thought about the story and I said, you know what? I want to bring it to folks and see how they feel about this so-called the law stopping this. But I think, the mother would have probably wanted that anyway. Like as a parent, I'm just thinking if I was going to go, I would want my child to live, especially if that was the plan beforehand. Right.
Sure.
If that exists,
It
exists. And it says, technology and like you said, new age medical breakthroughs make it so that could happen. So yeah, of course, I think that should be a good thing, but they kind of were spinning it like it was a bad thing. And that's where I was purging the BS on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. Well,
all right, cool.
Or maybe it's just a story.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that we kind of. But hear me out. Okay, if I'm a news reporter,
right,
and I'm out in the street, and somebody is robbing a bank, shouldn't I write about it? It's something that's happening. It doesn't. I mean, I understood what Genesis said when she said this is rage bait, and that could be the case. But
I feel it.
Should we not report this story if it's happening?
Well, no, I don't think that's the case either.
But the inclusion of the anti-abortion view of it seems a good editorial rather than the facts.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
It's underlying propaganda. They're trying to push the agenda of that.
Talk to them, girl.
And look at the word. Hospital tells.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that's inflammatory.
Mm-hmm. They trying
Y'all
to let
cooking
them
right now, man.
Must carry.
Yeah, must carry. Like you don't have a choice, as if there was another debate happening, and they were told, "Nah, we got to do this."
I thought this was rage bait when we first started this conversation because what I thought you meant was that there was a able-bodied woman with a brain dead baby. That's what I thought you meant when we first started, because I was like, well, why would they want to carry that baby to term?
That's a good. I get what you're saying.
But I mean, what would you say on the reverse of that then? Should that be allowed? In that case, it's like they're in danger. Should we bring them to the world? Like, I don't know. That's a weird one.
Well,
that hasn't happened, but I'm just saying.
We can't even, because there's a whole nother discussion that happens with that, because when the child's still in the womb, there's these percentages. So they say there's this percentage that this is going to happen and this percentage that this isn't going to happen. And if you don't want to take the chance that it is going to happen, you can abort up till now. They tell you this stuff because they give you, I'm sure you've been through it, where they give you these options, as they call them, because they might have seen a black dot somewhere, or and then it turns out it was nothing later. You're like, well, damn, you were going to have me, and it wasn't nothing.
How many times have they said, hey, you have this and you're only going to make it to this point, but people end up being here for 10, 15 years later.
Right.
So, anytime a baby is in utero, it's a guess at best.
Right. And so they only let you guess for so long. And then after that, it's kind of like, all right, well, you've made your choice. But it seems like in this one, they already have had this going on for months. Why tell the story now as if there's something happening that they didn't want to happen? And I feel like it's disingenuous to it with that. That's
I'm telling you right now, bro, if the doctor had come up to me on any of my children and said, that baby got on white patent leather shoes and a mustache, we need to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Talk to the janitor Mario.
Yeah. He's already got a name. His name is Roscoe.
All right,
Roscoe Coolidge.
let me jump into our next story, since we cooking with grease so early. Let's just go all the way in, man, because we got a few generations of people on this call, and I wanted to bring up this conversation that has now been brought back up in Congress regarding reparations. I know you guys have heard of this concept before, and I'm going to get your thoughts on it once you hear this little quick clip that I don't know the lady's name. She's melaninated. She's in the house. So
thanks, Papa Purge.
Yeah, I got the clip. What do you expect? I gotta know everything. I gotta know everything now.
Yeah, you gotta do.
Not at all. Not at all.
You got professional actors and directors on this channel, dude.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Oh Lord, and wokeness, really?
Yeah, woke this in.
Do y'all even want to talk about this? Like, I don't want y'all to end up on Entertainment Tonight.
Look, this is the Entertainment Tonight. Like I said, I want to have this because this conversation keeps coming and going and coming and going and coming and going, and I'm kind of like, if it's coming, where's it going? Is all I'm saying. So I wanted y'all to hear the clip, and ladies bringing it back up. I just wanted y'all to hear it, if that's possible. Here we
a duty to repair. So let's make it clear. There is a debt that does exist. This country has taken so much from black folks and has a debt it owes because for over 400 years into this very day, this country has stolen black labor, black lives, black futures. Industries were built and maintained through the subjugation of black people in this country, and wealth was built and maintained through the discriminatory policies that still plague us to this day. And to be clear, some people directly benefited from it or are direct beneficiaries of it. We have systems that create and perpetuate imbalances and balances in our society, and you either benefit from it or you are disenfranchised by it. And black people continue to be disenfranchised and harmed by these systems. Others receive advantages from it.
All right, I'm just going to ask the question outright. What does reparations actually look like in modern society?
Depends on what you're asking for. It depends on what
But that's what I'm saying. What are we talking about? They're talking about there's an imbalance of business and so on and so forth. So are we talking about land redistribution or money just going out? Like, what does reparations look like?
I'll give you an example. Most people have no idea how much these companies really make. I mean, they have this concept of what they think they make. They can say millions or something like that. But an example of this is when I was working a while ago, there were jobs being done. And I'm thinking, man, they're probably making like 50, 60,000 off of this. Come to find out, one job for a week's worth of work, $300,000 to $400,000 to maybe $500,000. Like, why is it costing that much? How are you all making that much money? Like things that Trump and them just laugh about.
Yeah, but
we can't even see that type of money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Think about what a owner of a Hollywood studio makes off of a movie.
Right.
We weren't positioned to be there. And then, like, if you try to start a distribution company or something, you might end up like Michael Vick and them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and this
anytime we try to even get up there, it's like, nah, bro.
Yeah, why would they position us to be there?
And that's what I'm saying.
I would say this.
Go ahead, Bravo. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, what I'm saying is this, is that what reparations looks like was the question. And so there's two schools of thought. Either you set up programs and systems and create a fund that which people who qualify for the reparations can draw from, or you send an out cash like the STEMI checks. I do not like the latter idea because just giving somebody cash who's been disenfranchised for this long, most of them who will get this massive influx of money won't know where to place it. Not to mention it's probably going to be taxed and all kinds of problems. And I would say that reparations should look like a fund and some systems put in place to solve the iniquity first, like free college, business startup capital, you know what I mean, small business loans, just basically revamping neighborhoods, you know what I mean, historically black neighborhoods, that kind of thing, I agree with. But just shooting out checks, I do not.
Okay. Well, I want to give a special shout to Big Body Inc. stopping in the chat with the comment, to pay reparations means they would be admitting to being wrong about everything concerning black people. And
yeah, that's the definition of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. To the root of reparations is repair. So in order to repair that wrong today, you'd have to literally be breaking up companies. You would have to be training people. And I'm talking about the people who are now inheriting this. 40 acres and a mule was the initial thing because at the time it was just, manual industry. But now if you were to give somebody 40 acres and a mule in today's terms, it would be a freaking tech business or something. You see what I'm saying? Something that would create that generational wealth. And I don't see them being able to really put that upon everybody because not everybody's even trained to deal with all that. So I just think I don't like the fact that the conversation keeps coming up and then certain people get excited about it as if it's going to happen. And then it doesn't really happen. And then 5 years later, they start talking about it again. It's like, I hate to say let it go, but you got to come with a strategic plan that's more than just you owe black people for what's already done. You might want to say, here's what's about to happen. And we need to make sure that they're set up for that and go into the future instead of digging so much in the past. That's just how I feel.
Well, maybe I'm naive.
Okay.
But reparations is a minor part of the problem.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've been teaching for 35 years. I love children. I had my share of children. I have 15 grandchildren. So, it's to the point, and I've seen what's happening in the school system. First of all, most of the school systems that I've participated in are broken. These children are just prison, they're feeding the prisons. They can't read. They're 2 and 3 grade levels behind. And then we're talking about getting money for a problem, and it's not really going to solve the problem. The thing is, we need to stop letting our kids see some of this mess that we allow them to see. We need to start turning off the technology. We need to help them to be more about thinking, rather than just being fed information, learning how to shoot people in a game, sitting on the couch eating food that's not really feeding their spirits or their bodies. And we're talking about reparations to who? Come on, we have, and Sekou might know that I have for years been a Pan-Africanist in my rhetoric and in my thought. But one thing that I do recognize as a person who constantly works in communities and with people in different situations, I understand that the conditioning is very deep. It's very deep. It's not just something that is going to go away with reparations. We need to start doing the work ourselves.
There you go.
So, yeah, we got to start somewhere.
And I don't think they can even pay us reparations because we're so entrenched and so in this soil, and we've given our blood and our time and our lives to this country, and they can't pay us back financially. Money cannot pay all that back.
Right. And that's how I feel.
Exactly what I'm saying.
People and not going to give it back to us. So there.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I was agreeing with you on, because there's not enough money they could do, but what they could try to do is try to give folks back the access that we rightly deserve.
But how would they do that with the folks that we have available?
Don't ask for it. We have to take it.
Yeah,
I understand.
And
money talks.
We got to take this.
What did Frederick Douglass say? He said, that really it's not going to concede until we take it, basically. What did he say about struggle? What was that quote?
I don't know.
Struggle concedes nothing without demand or something.
Yeah. Right.
There you go.
Come on.
Well,
we got yeah.
So that's
I'm
what
old, but
so basically that's where my my opinion comes from is in today's world, in order to fully restructure what they're talking about, it would have to offset what already exists, which means that people who are not currently in poverty would be pushed towards that degree if we were trying to even the playing field. It wouldn't come without a loss on another side. It's not like they just have all of these extra things to provide and nobody would have to give anything up, like the actual business owners, the actual like citizens who were in gentrified locations where they took over things with redlining, and there's just so many different levels to it. I feel like if they want to just invest in the community, that's the best you can do, because we haven't even taught our kids how to read correctly, like Nia was saying. And so how can we give them a business or anything like that that's really causing and creating generational wealth if they haven't even been trained up to handle stuff like that? They would just mess it all up.
And
you know what I'm saying?
There's more than enough. there's more than enough money to go around, because I know you've seen the income inequality and how the middle class is being attacked, and that gulf is widening and widening more and more. So there is more, and there is enough to go around. So pushing somebody less winning doesn't mean making them broke. You know what I mean? Just they win less. It's perverted to have so many billions. How much more do you actually need? You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that's really the problem. There's income inequality,
and there's the fear. There's a fear.
I do believe we have to take it back.
There's a fear that's now mounting that I'm seeing, and this is the interesting part. It's starting with this South Africa thing. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on right now with the South Africans coming over to the U.S. and how there's some transfer of land going on over in South Africa post-apartheid when the place was colonized. And it's a lot going on with that. And I think the American people are worried that if black people had enough power, they would attempt to do something similar. And I think that's what the fear is. It's like,
why would they put the power in our hands?
Exactly. Like, the only way we could do that is even if we all joined together and 100% of us voted for one person, we'd still need another ethnic group to support the same candidate. So we can't even do anything independently. Whereas black people in Africa were the majority of the population, so they could use democracy in their favor to do what they're doing now. Because they all were like, well, you know what? There's more of us than there is of them. And if we put it to a vote, we can win every time. And they use that power to kind of reverse the field now, from what I'm seeing. I haven't seen every little nuance, but that's what I'm picking up. And Trump's not talking about going to war with those people over there. He just say, hey, if you guys don't like it, you can come over here. But there's nothing I'm going to do to stop it. So I found that very interesting.
That's crazy, because also them being refugees, I can't really call them refugees, because the U.S. sent a plane to go get them. That's not how refugees work. You know what I mean? This has been a political stunt, from minute one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just an ugly thing, and I see it for what it is.
All right. Well,
I don't understand how we're going to get them and sending the ones we have home.
Correct.
Well,
think about it.
Numbers-wise, it's not even really the same kind of situation. It's not even using the same methods of moving people around, if that makes sense. So it's one thing isn't necessarily going to slow down or speed up the other. They like two different things they got going on.
Talking about reparations.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. With the reparations conversation in America, I don't think that reparations, as they keep bringing it up, can actually be paid without crashing the economy.
My fear is, what if they did pay them and then everybody here was like, all right, y'all got paid, now what?
No, because
and then the real hate comes out.
Exactly. That's
because the people
exactly
who
right.
are here now are not the ones who were guaranteed the reparations. So, I mean, I'm speaking from a Gen Z, like I'm thinking about my daughter, how do we build wealth for that generation? It comes down to me. I'm not waiting on someone to like drop something from the sky and then all of a sudden, we're going to just have this fantastic life. We have to build it. And if you really want to play their game, you just be in the same rooms.
But didn't we just get rid of DEI?
Was it really doing anything?
I mean, my thing about DEI, it didn't just affect Black people. I knew more people who weren't Black that ended up getting laid off because there's
veterans,
still
white women.
Exactly. There's still affirmative action, and there's still all these other things.
I thought they got rid of affirmative action.
No,
I'm talking about when Biden was in there. Didn't they get rid of affirmative action? I think they did.
Exactly.
Not exactly. There's I'm out here in the federal, spectrum of things. So there's just certain things, and there's the token people that they have to keep. So actually, there was more Black people who stayed. This is just from what I'm observing personally. Mm-hmm. It was the people who are Indian. It was the people who are Hispanic, because all of this stuff that's going on right now, people getting deported. It was a mess. This is just from what I've personally seen. And it was the extra people who are Caucasian that were laid off.
Extra Caucasians. I didn't know we had
because
those.
The jobs were not as valuable anymore.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Well, there's one more facet of this reparations that needs to be discussed as well. Folks like me, it doesn't matter. I'm first generation. So I'm not linked to any of these reparations at all. You know what I mean?
Then do you get the benefit is the question. Who gets the benefit? What qualifies as a Black American?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. There's too many areas. It's too messy right now. So we need a unified message in order to find out what we're gonna do.
Well, when I
The
was
best
born,
reparation
my
would
great
be to teach real history in school.
facts, but
Facts.
when I was born, my great grandmother was 103 years old. She was a slave.
Dang.
So I know where that could go. I could use some of that.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, guys. I think we've had our reparations conversation. It's one of those convos that keeps coming up, and I don't think they'll ever have it happen in the way that people are asking. But if they were to have it happen, I think they need a more kind of a planned out way of doing it. Because they just say, we want it, but they've never really come with anything other than we want money. And nobody's said, let's come up with some true comprehensive programs that do X, Y, and Z for inner city students, for this, for that. Like, let's really build the way that these other things were built. It wasn't built on just somebody throwing money at everybody. It was built on people from generation to generation, training, teaching, directing. You know what I'm saying? So if we start having that as what they're investing in, instead of investing in our demise, then we would, of course, have reparations. But just like they said in the chat, why would they invest in us being uplifted with the possibility that we could try to take something over? So it's one of those, why have the conversation if we keep running into the same end, is kind of what I was asking.
So let's keep telling them to forget it. Forget the past. Forget your history.
Not exactly that either. Yeah.
Oh, who's Donald Trump right now is saying that he's working with the daggone museum at the Smithsonian to make sure that the exhibits are of his liking. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to erase
poses entertainment for them.
He's a Nazi. That's what we should stop right there. Okay.
Exactly.
We need to stop fools like that who's in power.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it's awful. I think it's dangerous. I think what's going on, and we need a leader. Okay, to get all this stuff to get it all out. So anyway,
but do we think that there's going to be one person that's just going to save everybody?
But we need either
Jesus.
No, I don't want them to say. We need to follow. We need to be pulled into a group, focused. Okay, focused and at our enemy. Together, we're powerful together, not single.
Yes, but we're polarized. So it's like in democracy, it's two sides always, and that's what we've been doing. I'm not talking
about democracy. I'm talking about us.
Yeah.
Well, there's two sides to us too.
No, we are everything. Okay, we are everything and everybody. The American, Black, Negro. We got everybody in us. I think we're new personally. So we're new beings.
Well, I will say the American Negro is new. The mindset is new. The behavior is new. But we can't expect anybody to do anything that we're not going to already start the process on ourselves. I can't expect the government to teach people how to interact with each other and have conflict resolution that doesn't end in somebody getting unalived or fighting every 5 minutes. That's a cultural problem that reparations in and of itself, or at least how it's been presented, isn't going to help. So it's like, we can't necessarily, as certain Black people, we got to be honest, we have different types of Black people too. We're not all a monolith. So if we don't get that division worked out, we can say forget it about anything else. At least those other cultures, to a degree, seem way more united, even though there's poor ones and rich ones and so on and so forth, They just seem more united. So
they look out for each other.
Right.
We don't do that.
We don't have that going on with us. We don't like each other because somebody's taller than somebody
That's
else.
what they taught us in slavery. They taught us how not to love each other.
And they're still teaching us through the media.
Right.
Thank you.
So
only way you can control people.
But how do you get around that? But how do you get around that in a modern day society, and we are focused on how Donald Trump makes us feel, but not how the music makes us feel?
No.
It starts with the parents and it starts with the school at the source.
And it starts with pain. you got to get pain before you really pain to move away from that fire. You know, if you put your hand on the fire, you got to step back.
It's complacency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bravo, you know your favorite thing.
No.
What you say, struggle creates great men?
Correct. Oh, yeah, because they say good times create weak men bring bad times create strong men create good times, right? So it's cyclical. But what I'm trying to say is this, is that effort is the key for anything, because everybody wants everything done so easily. That's why we are what are little dopamine bricks, you know what I mean? Scrolling all day, reading things, not media literacy is at an all-time low. Just being basic critical thinking is at an all-time low. Like, there needs to be more effort put in, more certainty, more, fortitude into what you want to talk about, what you want to discuss. And you have to be willing to be wrong and find a common ground with the next man next to you. But all that requires effort, and nobody wants to try. Because trying ain't cool like that.
Come on, Bravo. Preach.
Okay. All right.
He cooking right now,
Well, this has definitely been an interesting episode so far. And since we're having this Black culture conversation, I think it's great that we have a representation of multiple generations on this same call. That's why I wanted to have these discussions, because like Genesis was saying, it's going to take all of us, because we're all at different positions in as far as our reach and our availability when it comes to being able to communicate with people who might be, doing stupid stuff. So I believe we need to somehow figure out how to bridge that gap first before we expect the government to feed us anything that's supposed to make us better. If we're not making ourselves better, kind of like, what are they going to do? How could they even really help?
But one thing I wanted to add is that since we're the main consumer, if we were to go like this, the gap kind of just continues, because we're just the main ones like putting the money in. So even if we were to get more money, I don't think we'd ever reach that top capital.
Right.
It depends on where you're putting your money, because the one problem that we don't have is we don't support each other.
We don't invest either.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. The dollars don't circulate in our
do
communities.
math.
And the last time we did it.
Okay, hold it. Kids can't read. They can't do math. They're failing all over the place. Our schools are damaged. And what kind of world are we developing if we can't think and we can't do something? And that's what is happening to us. So,
right.
Starts with all.
No, like, I agree with you. My wife has been an educator for 25 years, so I've seen it from inside and out. Sitting down doing homework with my kids. Why has math changed 5 times in 20 years? That doesn't make any sense. Just do the math the way it was. You know what I mean?
Can't catch up, buddy. That's why.
What's that now?
They do it on purpose so you can't catch up.
They keep you from catching up. It keeps changing on you.
Oh, yes. Okay. And also curriculums are a business. I already know that. You know what I mean? Selling curriculums to counties and school systems is a whole business. So I get that as well.
And the least paid job is an educator.
Isn't that crazy?
There's not much they can do about it.
What to say about that.
I only did it for 2 years. I don't got nothing on 30 plus years. I only did it for 2 years, and just from the 2 years I said these kids are worried about the wrong thing. They got the drag queens reading at the school. Right. It was a little too much for me. Look, what are we learning here?
I don't know if it's the lowest paid. I used to clean fish. $7.32.
Why are you tripping? You just keep throwing in stuff that has nothing.
Did you take the fish home at least?
No. God. I used to
only let me keep the
fish and chicken and friends.
Dang.
You're the funny part of the show. Okay.
Kind of.
But it's crazy, because when I first started teaching, I loved it. I loved being in the classroom with the kids, taking them out to do different things, just enjoy being a teacher. Now I never want to go to school.
Right.
Whoa. That is serious.
That makes sense.
Respectful. The parents often.
It's not reinforcing the home.
No, it's not.
Like, wait a minute. Maybe I'm just getting too old.
Do they talk recklessly to you?
Yes.
Oh,
they're getting crazier and crazier. Yeah.
It's adversarial. The parent because when I grew up, the parent and the teacher were a team to educate me as a child. Now it's adversarial. You know what I mean? They come in like, why'd you give me my child this F? He tried. Sometimes he be slow. So why don't you just give him the A anyway? Like, no, that's not how grades work. That's not how grades work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they end up
crazy.
blaming us to the point where
Yes.
it's disheartening. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the adult, but you're going to believe your child. We're not going to sit down and talk about this. You're going to believe whatever your child brought home instead of at least attempting to find out. I say support your children. I was one who would go to battle for my children. I got that. But, you know, with adults, we know that we have a different way of thinking. And sometimes you have to give adults credit and just have a conversation.
That's true.
So it's difficult. And one other thing, I know we got off of reparations, but I want us to not confuse reparations with genuine preparation or foundation building. You know, a lot of times reparations is all about money. And it may, you know, we got to do other things. And I think Sekou already said that, but I'd like to.
Papa Purge.
Yes, he already said
Good.
Thank you, Papa.
Papa Purge.
We love you, Daddy.
Papa Purge.
Papa Purge.
What's the
Yeah, mi
next topic,
padre.
Sekou?
Yes.
Did she go again?
You gotta put the hard accent on it. You know what?
Yeah.
Don't worry, they won't be able to say it anyway.
He's
They're
been
part of
outed
this
to the world.
Yeah, but I've been outed to the world, man. They've spent 40-something years mispronouncing my name repeatedly.
Okay.
Yep.
So only my family and my really close friends really know what they're doing. Everybody else is all over the place. So they'll try, but they'll mess it up. They'll mess it up. It's fine.
Dang.
And they will get kicked out the chat. But speaking of which, I just want to give some shouts to the people in the chat. There's a nice little conversation going on there. We got Purple Groovy in the chat, Big Body Inc. in the chat. Tamara stopped by in the chat. I saw her in that. IMZ in the chat. Al Bond in the chat. Everybody was in the chat. Everybody was in the chat. So,
Yo, Purple Groovy, I'm glad y'all are okay. She says in the chat, she and her husband are truly blessed. The tornado left their street with minor damage, so they are okay.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah, I
nice.
heard about
All
that.
right.
A lot of
All
crazy weather going on out there. So
Mhm.
that's the one thing. We can't stop the weather. We could try. That weather is treacherous. Takes out whole neighborhoods like that, man. They actually,
It depends on what
Global
side of the internet you're
warming,
on, because
global
some people say they got laser guns that can change the weather right now.
I mean,
depending
even
on what side of the internet
look, there's definitely been some seeding of the clouds attempted. Whether it was successful or not, I haven't done enough research. But the research to whether or not they were trying to do it, yes. And when you're trying to do something, you're gonna have some tests and experiments that may or may not go well. So who knows what they did?
Correct.
Yeah, who knows what they did? I wasn't there for it. But to think that they might not have created things that they can't stop, that's what man does. We create the monster, but we can't stop the monster. That's why they worried about AI. Yeah, it's cool when it's in the fetus stage, but once it gets full grown, we won't be able to stop it. So anyway, speaking of things that couldn't be stopped, we got to jump into our next topic. Have you guys been following the Diddy trial?
Unfortunately.
Yes.
No, I haven't been
Yes and
following
no.
Diddy. That's why I have a clean bill of health. I haven't.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's I'm going to go over it very briefly. I would play some clips, but they're just so graphic. They're just so graphic.
Clips of what?
Yeah, don't play that mess.
Yeah, well,
No,
you can go with the violence that we've all seen. Anybody who's watched the videos.
Oh, that clip. Okay.
Yeah, that's of course that.
So why is Diddy important to us?
Well, because here's the thing. Why he's important to the culture is probably a better question. In my opinion. I believe it has to do with the way that they
said what culture?
the same culture we were just complaining about.
No,
Right.
I'm saying, you know, Diddy's culture, the culture that he was a part of, a lot of people don't participate in that. But I just want to understand, why is it so important that we focus on him?
Diversion. Keep thinking about other things before they come back at you on something else.
Well, I have a similar opinion to it, but I think that we need to look a little deeper into what was actually going on. So we can get into the craziness about the baby oil and all this other kind of stuff, but I have kind of a different idea in the way that I wanted to discuss this. The situation with Cassie, because there's been such a big talk about it, when she got into the situation with Diddy, she was like 19 years old. She was a very impressionable young woman who was trying to be famous, and this powerful man who has everything that she wants or thinks she wants is basically offering her, holding up the carrot for her. And I just wondered, when she got pulled into this lifestyle over the course of 11 years, where was her family to say, hey, let's not do that? And I think we need to take this as an opportunity to maybe put more information into our young people about chasing fame versus, you know, your own morality. Because I believe that's how she got pulled into it. It wasn't that she was some evil woman that was deciding to do all this with Diddy. He groomed the hell out of her from the point where she was a teenager. And it just came out over the course of 11 years. And I think that's important, more so than what he did, is how he was able to mess with people's minds and have them doing one thing, knowing that he was being overly controlled. We can't let people like that continue to move around either. So the same way that you were mentioning about Trump, when we have these monsters moving around, we have to identify it and say, look, this is what we're looking out for in the future. So it's not a huge story from a personal standpoint, but I think about if my daughter was 19 years old and Diddy came to her and had her doing all that kind of stuff, I would have tried to hurt him. You see what I'm saying? So I always wonder where was her support system? And I think we need to have that conversation. Sometimes we leave these young ladies out here and they get taken advantage of by dudes
Where
like
is
this.
she from again? Do you remember?
I'm sure I can Google it. I don't know.
Well,
She's
the only
Puerto
reason
Rican or
why,
something.
the reason why I asked that question is because when I was 18, when I was 19, and I moved to Philly to go, you know, produce with that label, my parents didn't know what was going on where I was. And some of the things that were going on, I definitely wasn't going to say it. So, I mean, you can only do what you can do with a child until they're 18 years old. Once a child is 18, they're grown. You've done the best that you can do. You can only hope that the things that you said had some gravity in their life.
True.
When they go away, they're not telling you all of that stuff. Like, look how old she is now and look how old Diddy is now. We're just finding out who they really are.
Well, a bunch of people already knew it, though. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's the question that needs to be asked. How was he able to get away with all the things that he was doing for such a long time?
Henchmen.
And then all of a sudden they jump on him like, oh, he's so wrong. But he didn't have, I think, enough people in his pocket. They got tired of his acceleration because he was accelerating now. And then they decided to put him in check, just like they did with Bill Cosby. Exactly he was doing a lot of the things.
She's cooking right now, by the way.
He was doing a lot of the stuff that he had been doing in parties, and people knew about it. And then somebody got sick of it. And then
diversion.
He had people in check in houses, girls in check, and doing all kinds of things for a long time. He was able to really build up his reputation.
So why right now? Why are they doing that now?
That's what we need to ask ourselves.
Because he went at Lucian Grange, and I believe that.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
He bit the hand that fed him. That's the thing.
What?
He went after Lucian Grange. He went after basically the person who put him in the position to be who he was. He went after him. He was trying to get at his part of the pie, Lucian Grange part of the pie, and then he had to get a reality check, just like they did with Cosby, right? Even though the things he was doing was absolutely horrible, it was still allowed. Right. Because of Lucian Grange protecting him and putting him in that sphere, in that circle, right? But I want to get back to what what Hayes was saying about what happened with her family. I had to tread very lightly to either speak about a victim of abuse and their family. You know what I mean? Because I had no idea what her mindset was for real, going through that day-to-day, on a day-to-day basis. I have no idea what the level of mind trickery that she had to go through, that she was being put under, and just constantly being drugged, and this having everything you need, but having everything taken away from you at the same time has got to be a crazy mind episode to deal with. So I like to tread lightly when it comes to her and her involvement with her family, because I don't know enough about it, and she's not saying nothing.
You have to be very careful about that. That's very good. Very
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I like to take back everything I said like 3 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no reply is in the chat. No reply is in the. I'm sorry. Let me.
No,
As close as I can get.
Let me get it. Okay, I got it.
So it's basically what no reply had put in the chat, in case you guys couldn't see it, is that it's basically because a particular law in New York was changed so that Jean Carroll could sue Trump. And so that's why a lot of these charges and things come out or came out afterwards. But it really comes down to, number one, Diddy obviously had a lot of influence, and that was made through his entertainment business. Entertainers who have influence at all times. People do stuff and be like, yo, that's such and such, you got to act this way. That's such and such, you got to act this way, because you want them to put you on. So I believe that to a degree, Cassie was caught up in that, like most of the bad boy artists at some point have tried to impress Puffy, have been trying to do, I don't even call him Puffy, tried to impress him, do something crazy that he asked them to do. He's known for doing that. But is that enough for him to go to jail for the rest of his life? And that's where it's like, okay, I can't necessarily say that either. So what I can do is try to say we need to educate people to stay away from people like this and not get so caught up in the fame so that they don't get themselves in these positions where they got to get pissed on. Like, that is just a lot.
People like that they know how to do that. It's not like, and I don't know the full story behind Cassie, but a lot of times it's just like, you don't expect somebody to sneak up on you and attack you. You know, it's like they're creeping. So who's to say that she was fully aware of what was going on? I think somebody had already alluded to that.
Right. And another thing is that he's not going to jail forever for being a mean guy. He's going to jail for multiple SA, actions. He's going to jail for horrible things that he's done to actual people, videotaping them and using them as leverage against them. He's going to jail for murder attempts. He's going to jail for actual crimes.
Well,
not because he's a bad
I will say this: so far, I've been following the case, and the prosecution has not made a full case yet. And for me, it depends on what their lineup is. If they're going for loading the bases and hitting a home run, or if they're trying to put their fastest sprinter first, like Cassie's the main and then everybody else is the follow-up, or if Cassie was the low-end hanging fruit because they knew there was going to be a lot of gray area of what she was and was not complicit with, they can get to these escorts and people that he flew in and people that he hired to bring in drugs and those kind of things. That's where they're going to pile it up on them. So this was really like she was saying, it was a distraction, because truthfully, the way that they presented this part of the case, it's hard to say that he was trafficking this person who in many cases seemed like a willing participant. It's very hard to charge somebody on.
I've seen those
But
text
there's
messages.
coercion involved, and that's why she's not a willing participant. But I just want to say this one thing about this Diddy situation. I think that he is a symbol, and I feel like the reason why he's going to jail is so that way other people do not try to be a Diddy again.
There you go.
This has been going on in the history of Hollywood, okay? We've seen, we've had Playboy mansions. The only reason he did not go to jail is because he's dead. There were things that came up afterwards, and they weren't able to take those things to trial. He was never convicted of a criminal thing, but we know those girls were trafficked. So if we really were to look at the grand scheme of things, also Diddy is black. So we have been having this whole movement, this Me Too movement. At first, it was the white politicians. I feel like this is retaliation, and I feel like it's also a symbol. Yes, he did some very terrible things, and I'm not negating Cassie's experience, but these are things that have been going on for history. So they're trying to basically try not to get people to be in that same level of power, because we could argue that there are probably many other women that are in the music industry, even if they are on a platform, that are also probably being trafficked by someone else, and we just don't know about it. And because he went against someone that was putting him in that position, that's why he's now being treated as a symbol.
I do believe that, but I think to go hand in hand with what you're saying, that symbol is none of you Negroes will be up here like that again.
Yep. Exactly.
But they're not taking any of the white ones down.
Well,
right.
Promise
that's
you that.
that's
Lucian Grange ain't going nowhere.
But that's the thing. I believe that Diddy at some point will cut a deal and he will get some other people in trouble. I don't think he's going to go down for this by himself. I think that would be stupid of him because he knows, just like he said to Cassie about the videos that he had and she was talking about he was going to blackmail her. He's got that about a lot of people. So I think they'll take this on for a little bit. But
you know who else had that? I had that kind of leverage? A little guy named Epstein.
Yes, that's all I was going to bring up. He died in the. How did he die anyway?
In the jail.
He was hung himself.
Apparently, he hung himself.
Come on,
he hung himself
y'all.
with his hands tied.
Yeah, come on, y'all. Come on, somebody killed him in jail. Okay.
Just so happened the cameras broke at that 1 second, but it's totally legit.
Well, maybe Diddy learned from the Epstein situation and he won't go down alone. He say, hey, Epstein didn't snitch and you saw what happened to him, so he might as well.
Epstein, did he even have his day in court?
Not going down alone is what got Diddy in trouble.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know, guys, but there's been an interesting sentiment regarding the Diddy case, and that's why I brought it up, was that because it's involving rap artists and hip hop artists, that it's exposing the hip hop culture as a pornographic, nasty, dirty culture.
Wow.
And I wanted to show y'all a clip. I don't know if y'all like Whitlock. He's a little wild, but he says a couple of really choice pieces in here. So I wanted y'all to check the clip out, and then we can finish up with the Diddy situation. Just hold on a
The
second.
problem with bringing in the older generation is that we don't know Jack.
Okay.
I mean, no.
Seems like you know a lot from this conversation. Seems like you know a lot.
Well, you know Quincy Jones wasn't too far off of that mark. He was a wild boy too.
That he was.
Leave my baby alone.
Oh my.
She said, leave my baby alone. Guess you a Quincy Joneser? All right, so let me fade this over here for the folks. So apparently Jason Whitlock, if y'all don't know, he used to be on Fox Sports 1. He kind of has his own thing going on YouTube now. So he did this clip. I wanted y'all to hear it.
And so
let's check it out.
This trial to me, and I know we're just a day into it, and now we're into day 2, but anybody that supports rappers of any kind, and I'm talking about the commercial rappers, I'm not talking about Christian or gospel, but these rappers, the Snoop Dogg's, the 50 Cent, any of them, Ice Cube, I like Ice Cube, but even Ice Cube, any of them, I'm like, what do you think you're supporting? It's crystal clear what it is you're supporting: sexual degenerates, alphabet mafia people. It's like if all the drugs that they're ingesting just brings down inhibitions, and all they can think about is sexually pleasuring themselves, and that's how you get into a no holes barred situation where people are entering you from any orifice that they want to because you're so drunk high and you're just chasing a sexual high. But this whole thing just early on is just like, I'm so glad I moved away from rap music. I'm so glad that I was critical of rap music, even when I was listening to it. At least my instincts and ears were tuned properly, like, hey, this can lead to no good. But that's what I'm hoping is on the other side. If whether Diddy gets convicted or not, I don't think is going to change much. But if people's eyes are open to the reality of commercial rap music and who these people are, and I know 50 Cent loves to make fun of Diddy, but I'm not saying 50 Cent is like Diddy, but he's closer to Diddy than I am, and any of you are. And he may not have been, again, 50 Cent running around with Chelsea Handler, a demon and a sexual degenerate. This to me should just unmask rap music for what it is: a gay, sexually degenerate psyop.
Yeah, well,
awful. What kind of fool is that fool?
All right, well, that's Jason.
The thing that I wanted to mention that he is missing. You know what I mean? I don't think he omitted it on purpose. But the thing is, he kept on saying commercial. Why do you think that version of hip hop is being sold?
Thank you.
Sir, You know what I mean? It's like, so it doesn't live on itself. It didn't get its own vehicle to come out like that. When the white man saw that hip hop can be made money off of, they started pushing out. We didn't have gangster rap all the time. We didn't have some of this dropping low all the time. We didn't have that. You know what I mean? We had the native tongue. We had
Public Enemy.
De La Soul. You know what I'm saying? We had all kinds of stuff. We had African Bambaataa. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we had good cultural stuff. I mean, like Kendrick Lamar is the most powerful one. He's commercial, but he's choosing to do his own thing and actually say things. We have so many people out there, like Yasin Bey, formerly known as Mos Def. We have so many positive brothers out there saying, you know what I mean? This broad brush he's doing, this broad brush he's using is inflammatory, and I gotta give it to him. He did get me, but this is just he's off the mark and he needs to get back on the porch.
Yeah, off the mark.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, damn.
Diddy is not known as a gangster rapper anyway.
Off the mark.
He tried to be though.
I'm gonna drop the spoon.
He tried a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, music's always been graphic. Music is always about like vulnerability.
Not always.
And well, listen,
It
it's just we've switched up the rhetoric because things have just gotten more explicit. That's really, nothing has really changed that much. It's just as far as like how far we're willing to go nowadays.
Yeah, well, explicit sells these days.
Exactly.
But
it's always sold.
I was in New York with Bet and Bonnie, and then when rap really got its kick, and they were talking about some really serious stuff.
Yeah, they were talking about self-destruction and stuff back then.
Yes.
Yeah. They couldn't keep that going
because it didn't pay.
No, and that woke people up. People got woke.
Yeah. Oops. Don't do that.
See, yeah. And that's another thing. Appropriation of things that actually mean something. Yeah, appropriation of hip hop, appropriation of the word woke, which actually is not a negative word at all, but it's being appropriated by other groups to use it as a joke. You know what I mean? And it's like
take the power out of the word. They trying to take the power out of the word. Yeah.
Like what's bad with being awake and seeing the systems and the mechanisms that are keeping you back? What's wrong with that?
Very true.
So then when we have artists like Kendrick Lamar who just did the Super Bowl and they're on the most major platform, why are we still stuck in the space to where we are promoting like all of these gangster rappers and all these things? If we're kind of returning to wokeness, we have Doechii, we have these people that are coming out that everyone's following, and we're just not like doing anything about it. We're just listening for like pleasure, or like what's going on?
Well, now we got to get into physiology too. Okay, so you have the rhythm, and you have kids listening to the rhythm and the way that melodies are being put together. We're a family of musicians. Go ahead and sing, Sekou and Genesis.
No, we're not doing that on this episode. We're not doing that. No.
But these young people are very vulnerable. You have to understand that their third eye is very open. That's why by third grade, they're able to see how many young people they should prepare to prisons for. I had surgery, so I have a little problem. But, hopefully you can understand what
we sound great.
We can. You sound awesome. Yeah. You sound awesome.
So, we just have to be clear that a lot of times they're not even listening to the words at first. And they're being drawn in by the rhythm and by the progression and of the music and of the chords and everything. And it's just becoming just tragic.
Well, have you seen Sinners?
I haven't, but
I haven't seen it. Let's go on.
I'm going tomorrow. Don't spoil it for me.
Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I do want to at least hit on the concept and just say that in Sinners, the musician was technically the most important people in the entire movie.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'll let you see the rest and you can understand the rest. But it was just interesting that was the focus. And it was.
Let's say this. Yeah. I remember when Sekou used to ride.
Here we go again. Here we go again. I will stop the stream. I will stop the stream.
You ready to cut her off?
Don't. He will give it away. Okay. You told Bonnie that. Oh, come on. I'm just kidding. I know, but no. First off, this is
my business.
No, excuse you.
This is on.
Okay.
We got 2,000 people watching this thing, or at least viewing it.
No, they could.
Just be
No,
careful what you say.
It's okay. But my point is, they will ruin the story for you, okay?
Okay. Well, you could have just said
we
that.
love it. We love it.
Uh-huh. All right. Well,
There it is. There it is.
thank you.
But yeah, but like I said before, this dude is using a broad brush to paint over something that is very nuanced, and I just think that he got me with the rage. It worked, but I just think that he was really.
Well,
really,
I had
really
the question that came up on the internet this week when they were talking about music was, as they've used in similar cases before, should the music lyrics be brought into the trial? The lyrics that Cassie was singing be brought into trial? And I'm wondering, like, they've recently started doing that, where they're bringing people's lyrics and saying, well, you said this, explain it. I don't know. Do you think that that's a good thing to start bringing rap music back into the court system again?
You try to use art as a fact. When you try to use art as evidence, that's really a dangerous place to be, because sometimes, I've written lyrics that are just actually a story, but then I'll say, you said such and such, so they can hold this against you. I don't think that's right. I don't know if we should do that.
Well, like I said, it's a lot of gray area here, but Mr. Diddy, in my opinion, seems to be spinning this thing as if he was shooting porn, which is not necessarily illegal. So even if he admits that he did everything or orchestrated it, he could say that he was doing it. Yeah, but it's such a gray area, because we have these industries that promote this type of behavior. And they're like, well, you don't mind when these people say that they're doing that, or you don't mind when they have porn for free on multiple sites. You're not coming for these folks. So what's the big deal with him? So it's kind of like, if we don't,
it's consent for the participants, man.
Yeah,
that's
but
a false equivalent. You can't say the same thing for OnlyFans models as opposed to a significant other that is under the influence of drugs and being pimped out as sex workers.
No, I agree.
That's not kind of the same thing.
I agree. I just was saying, this is the kind of BS defenses that people come up with, and the legal system at times can lean on these things. And it sounds stupid to us, but the way that they can spin these things, it's like, well, we can't find him guilty of that because he was just being a producer, and he's a producer. That's what he does. That kind of goofy stuff. And so I worry that if we're going to put hip hop on the grill, then let's just be honest. We don't hear anything but BS. So what else are we supposed to listen to? Like you said, there's other artists there, but they don't ever push that. They're never going to push that.
No.
And we don't have the money to back that, to push that. So it's like, what do we just not listen to music no more?
No, I just think, like I said before in the other segment, that enjoying music does require effort. The things that you get for free are not going to be the best things for you. When's the last time you saw a commercial for carrots, right? Or celery or broccoli, right? The thing that they're going to send to you for free is never good for you. So you have to dig in there. You have to look at related artists. You got to look in the liner notes, like who this person did a feature with. Oh, I like his verse. Let me go find their album. It requires effort, because what they're pushing for you fits their agenda, not yours.
That's right.
All right. Well, it's an interesting topic, because I believe that music has played a negative effect, because for anybody that wanted to be a rap artist, you had to prove yourself by doing something goofy in order to be accepted within that culture on the mainstream. Like, I'm watching some of these guys, some of the mainstream guys. I don't know if you guys have seen the dude, Unk 607. He's on every platform, but he sounds crazy. Him, Kodak Black, it's like some of these guys are kind of slow, but then all of a sudden they're saying profound stuff. It's like this world is just twisted, and they can't even say what they want to say. So in the music, they all say, we're pushed to say this. We're pushed to say this. So how do we stop that from being said? If we want positive messages, we would have to literally stop listening to music. I don't think that's even possible.
No, you don't have to stop listening to music. You have to stop listening to that music. You vote with your value, whether it be your dollar, whether it be your attention, whether it be your participation. You vote with your value of yourself, right? If you hear something that's BS on the radio, turn it off. Go look at something else. Go find something else. Hit a random button and see what other things come up. You know what I mean? Put effort into be more purposeful into what you enjoy. And see, don't just ingest the garbage.
People doing the wrong thing, they're the ones that's you're going to hear about them. There are a lot of people who are making positive choices, in reference to guiding their young people or themselves to think in a more positive way, but you don't hear about them. And you don't hear
that doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, it's like this is what sells. This is what people are choosing. If you choose to spend your money by getting that particular song on whatever platform, then that's showing what they should do more of, because they're only driven by how much money they can make. So maybe that's part of it. We have to, number one, create more arenas so that young people who are doing and saying positive things can be recorded and heard. And we should stop investing in things that are detrimental. It all ties in. Actually, everything that we've talked about tonight ties in to us, making choices and doing some things that allows us to move forward. But anyway.
The media is literally doing a slow motion virtual buck breaking, and we're participating in it.
There you go.
Well, because we're on this strong topic here, I want to continue into the secondary piece of our conversation, which was this new term that has been going viral called Black fatigue. And I don't know if this is apparently white people are tired of Black people being victims. That's really what I'm gathering, and people are saying that it's like, it's okay. And I wanted to get you guys' opinion on it. Somebody sent me.
I'm sorry. What is Black fatigue?
Let's Google it, because now it's a Googleable term. So let's look it up.
I'm not tired of being Black.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I want to know. I want to be educated.
Oh, they got a website.
They got a book. A book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so sad.
They done wrote a book. They came out. This is a whole thing on Instagram. Came out a day ago.
Black
now there's a whole
definition.
There's a whole website here. What is Black fatigue?
Is a book, but that's a book.
Hold it.
Oh, okay. That's the book. This is the book. This is the book to say the opposite. I see what they're saying here. This is different. This is different. Let's go back. Let's go back.
Now, who's writing this? Black folks are people of less melanin.
Well, this is the thing. Black fatigue was already a Black term, but then they turned it into white people being tired of Black people being oppressed Black people. Like whenever something happens, they pull the race card. Whenever somebody gets shot by a police officer, there's a riot. Like they're fatigued from that. But Black fatigue was already a thing for Black people. It's like they hijacked it and now it means something else.
They appropriated a word like woke, like we said before.
Yeah, it's right here on Reddit. They're talking about it. And nobody was talking about it. Yeah, just like woke, they stole the term Black fatigue from us. So I'll show you this guy's clip, but it all week I've been hearing about this. I've seen a bunch of content creators talking about it, but it was a bunch of white people that came out and said, like, look, we're so tired of y'all being oppressed and acting oppressed when things are good for you, basically.
Please don't tell me he's gonna come with the corner.
I don't know what he's gonna come with, Bravo. I don't know. They sent me the clip.
I hope not.
And we're gonna play it. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna play it and we're gonna see what he's talking about.
Black fatigue is a thing. Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet Black people, and Black people don't want to live around ratchet Black people.
There you go.
I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning, and then you see the Bonnet Crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended, and that's anywhere you go. No matter what. They're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never happy, they're never satisfied. And you wonder why normal, good Black people move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful. I was one of those Black people that said, man, if I made some money, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna buy up this, buy up that. I'm gonna support the community. As soon as I got my money, I got the fuck up out of there because they don't know how to appreciate good shit. And my suburban kids don't need to be dealing with that bullshit. Crab in a barrel mentality. Never take accountability for nothing. So yeah, Black fatigue is a thing. And I'll tell you, A lot of people are fucking tired. They're tired of dealing with these kind of people on a daily basis. I mean, I get anxiety when I walk inside of a mall nowadays. I mean, because you got these YNs running around and they don't respect nothing. So I don't care what anybody says. White America is tired of you, and we are too.
Okay, so that's the clip. Apparently, black fatigue is now white.
Wait, well, we're not gonna go by the irony of him using his platform to talk bad about black people, but also use the phrase "crab in a barrel" mentality.
There's truth.
You know what I mean?
No.
There is truth. There is truth. I'm saying what he's saying, but I had to consider the messenger. I don't believe that he is being in earnest. I think he's saying this for engagement. Nobody likes bad people. Newsflash. You know what I'm saying? Newsflash. But the fact that he had the racial spin on it and using this triggering phrase, this is engagement that he's going for. I don't think there's anything earnest about what he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
but
it could.
Yeah.
So help us to understand. So one definition of black fatigue is black folks who are tired of negative, angry behavior.
Yes.
And the other definition of black fatigue is when people of European descent are tired of hearing black people make excuses based on the fact that there's a history in this country.
That is also it. Yes.
Okay. So first off, the young man that you just allowed to play, I have the ability to pick apart rhetoric, and he is a confused person. So it's one thing to be uptight and angry about certain behaviors that have been cultivated in certain communities and with certain families and people.
Bonnet people.
Right, bonnet people. I hate to see that too, because I think everything in the bedroom should stay in the bedroom.
Basically.
But anyway, but that's
what are you waiting for? Till you go out?
Right.
No class.
Okay.
None.
I need you to But anyway, so the whole piece about white people being upset because black people throw in something, it's really a case-by-case situation. A lot of times it's truth that people don't even want to deal with. People want to stick with a certain scenario, and when something is brought in that helps to kind of widen, it's almost like teaching his story in class, but you're only given part of it. And then when people say, hold up, let me tell you about the fact that the first Jewish person was from Ethiopia. But see, I'm just saying that sometimes people don't want to hear the whole truth. And so you have to be careful about who's saying it, why are they saying it, what is the thing in question that we're talking about, because people use blanket terms instead.
That broad brush. And another thing, I picked apart his rhetoric as well. Do you notice that every time he said white people, he either said we as good black people or a group that he's included in right after he said white people. Every time he did that.
Well, why can't there just be good people and not good people?
Yes.
All of us.
It has nothing to do with black fatigue.
It just has to
do with
ignorance fatigue. I am tired of ignorance. I'm tired of craziness. I'm tired of the butt naked dude that walks around screaming at himself. I'm tired of all of that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm tired of going to the Arundel Mills and there's like a group of like a soccer team, no chaperones. It's a bunch of little boys. It's a lot of Caucasian people actually that do this, and they go around and just act a fool at the malls. I'm tired of that.
Yeah, and that's not a black thing.
In Baltimore, unemployment and problems is an equal opportunity employer. You got people of all races who are outside begging, all kinds of things going on. But it's not a white or black thing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's based on not building up. I have one more thing to say, and I swear I'm gonna.
No, please.
Let it cook.
We were raised in a house where we sat down, and Bet, you can confirm this. my father and mother, our father and mother sat down and we had dinner every night at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we would have these exchanges. But when my father bought everybody toys for Christmas, he had holes in the shoes. I'm going to make a point. I'm going to land. The point is, his mentality was that he wanted something better for us. They wanted something better for us. Now, if you look from the outside, you saw all those Freemans, they having all those children. But in fact, our father and our mother developed a understanding, transferred it to us in terms of doing well for ourselves, taking responsibility for our actions. And a lot of times, whether a household is Black or white, you have people who are not doing that. And so people end up with a impoverished mentality. That has nothing to do with, I don't like Black people altogether. That's a very specific example. Don't generalize. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Don't generalize. You got to get in there and understand the situation.
Well,
right.
But my question is to piggyback off of his question regarding what I actually thought, Black fatigue was. Like, Black fatigue for me, this is just me, is trying to have positive, uplifting conversations, and you get met with the debauchery and the ignorance every time. Like, let's say I'm trying to have a conversation about fathers being in the house, then I'll get called a coon or some of these other things for having those kind of conversations. And I'm thinking, I'm fatigued by that, because I think that if we just agreed that some of these things could be better, like you said, to provide better for your kids than what you have, then we would all be on one accord with that. But we don't get that. So I'm fatigued by having to come up against a mentality, like you said, an impoverished mindset that I can't speak to because that's not my mindset. So it's like I can't even talk to it to bring it out of that, because I can't communicate on that level, because I just don't see why you're doing what you're doing. Like, it seems like you should see the same thing I see. And for some reason, they don't see that. So the fatigue to me is just with trying to make a change and no change is actually being made. That's its own fatigue. But I want to start with the Black community, so it's a Black fatigue for me. Because every day I get a fight video of somebody at a McDonald's or a school or something, and most times it is Black people in these videos. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other cultures. I'm just saying the majority of the information I get is Black people doing it. And how do I?
That's also the algorithm.
Yeah.
That's also how they push it. That's also how they push it. But I want to tell you something that's really funny. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled. The original definition of Black fatigue is the exhaustion from small acts of aggression and disrespect Black people endure on a daily basis.
There you go.
That's
the real one, right?
But we're talking about this. See how they took our word and flipped it and made us talk about it.
And we should be focused on the original definition that he just
exactly, which is what we are supposed to be talking about. But if we talk about that, then we're getting called different names. It's almost like if you don't embrace the stereotype, then you're some type of sellout. And that's why people end up having to move out of the hood. You can't be positive in the hood because the hood will take you out. We've seen it happen a million times.
Yeah.
You can latch yourself on to something negative, or you can decide to be different and be okay with being different.
But is that difference? If you come out of the hood, if everybody keeps doing the same thing.
Yeah, but the difference is you deciding not to focus on the negative. And hey, this is what we're going to talk about. This is what is going to make a difference for us. This is what I believe. It may not be. Then you got the people who are chiming in and giving you, responses. That's what you're all about. So it's really a decision that has to be made.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Where's the decision to be made? If I make a decision for myself,
where's the responsibility?
Yeah, I'm only responsible technically to my immediate family. Like, if I move out the hood, that's to protect my kids and my legacy. But I don't necessarily have to go back to the hood to bring anybody else out of there. I can just move on, and if they don't want it, I'm going to let them just kind of sit there. So the fatigue I have is that people are sitting there generation after generation, and nobody's saying, yo, let's get out of this. Because I believe that we do have the tools to do so as a community. That's a different type of fatigue.
We're blocked. We're blocked. every time we try to climb out of that barrel, something knocks us back in.
So far, that doesn't mean it's not forever. So far, it has been.
Right. So how do we get around that? Because that's where my fatigue is coming from. It's like you're trying to do these positive things and you just get knocked down. The guy that's doing negative gets to run for 20 years trafficking and doing drugs and flying private planes all day. Right. But the guy that's trying to do something positive in the community, as soon as he starts coming up against the goofiness he's seeing, now you're a sellout, now you're this, now you're that. That's the fatigue. That's what I'm tired of. It's like, look, we can do better. If you can't at least identify, yeah, we could do better. Maybe I'm not doing better, but to say I can't do any better, this is what I am, this is what I'm going to be, you know what I'm saying? And just stand on that for the rest of life. It's so tiring to me. Like, when are we going to wake up and grow all the way up? Stop worrying about the goofiness and trying to look goofy and trying to shine all the time just to end up in jail and have 5 baby mamas all over the place. It's a stupid thing to talk about, and it's a stupid goal to have. But every time we talk about it, we're called some other words like, oh, you ain't real, man. That's like, you grew up here, you did that. Well, maybe I don't want my kids to be in jail. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I don't want drug dealers as my offspring. Maybe I don't want that. But what is wrong with that is what I'm saying.
I refuse to feel bad for liking nice things. I'm gonna tell you that off the break.
Right. So how do we get a person who doesn't like nice things to appreciate those nice things so they'll come up as well? That's where I'm getting tired.
Sometimes you have to work around them. Sometimes you have to work around them and you can't work with them directly. Sometimes you will have to invest in their education in that area. Or maybe patronize a business in the area that's doing good things in that place. There's more ways you can help that's not direct. If you don't want to be a direct activist or whatever, there's other ways you could do it. But the thing is it requires effort to find these alternatives, because it's really easy to throw your hands up and give up. And things only change when you get all in. That's the only time things can change.
It's funny. There's this theory that we have as educators. Well, I know I have it. Like, at first, I used to get really upset if I felt like a child didn't get what I was giving. But then you learn how to understand that sometimes you're just planting seeds. And sometimes your seeds don't grow at all. I remember one kid that had problems. And then I said, well, you know what? He's going to have to get the lesson further down the line. Sometimes we have to plant seeds and let go. We have to be pyramid builders too. When I say I hope nobody steals my term, but a pyramid builder is someone who puts in work on something, even though it may not come to fruition during their lifetime. Right. And a lot of times we want to see things change right away. Well, that's unrealistic. A lot of times people will build like generational wealth over years and years and years of time.
Right.
And the other last point too, I remember my father and I come back to them all the time because they, we stand on the shoulder of giants. But his thing was, I know that we have problems in our community, but I don't necessarily want my children to feel the brunt of that. He said, but I want to work at it while I'm here. This is something that I choose. So even if you choose to do X, Y, or Z to make a difference or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have to leave your children in that same pot. You see what I'm saying? You hear the dog. But the point is, it's like you have to make a choice, and it's okay. We're mature enough to take certain things, but sometimes you get tired too. I'm going to stop because the dog is barking.
That's all right. Go get the dog. The dog was barking because the dog was hearing that realness come up out of you.
The dog was like, truth.
Right. Facts. You know what I'm saying? So, but here's the thing. I wanted to have this discussion with these four different generations, technically, on this call, because if we all feel that way, then why does the majority invite the stereotype?
I don't think that is actually true. I believe that's what we're being presented.
Right. Is it really the majority?
The news. Right. I don't think it is. Because you yourself has said, Hayes, you don't see these people that are these talking heads.
Right.
When you're out on the street and you walking around, you go to the store, you don't see these people spitting blood and being mad about this. You don't hear black fatigue at the gas station. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is what's being pushed because this is something we could do. And just like said earlier, it is a diversion because the more they can divide us, like this whole FBA thing, that pisses me off because like we're all black. You know what I mean? If we're talking about FBAs, I mean, I'm getting left out. So I consider myself a black American. You know what I'm saying? So it's all distractions and to encourage encourage discord and lack of unity.
I agree with you.
Well, I just to give y'all a quick.
Could you take this young man's picture off of the?
Oh, you don't want to see this guy no more? You don't want to see his confused face? All right, and shouts to HM in the chat who needed a shout out to prove that this was a live feed. You know, a lot of times people think that if we're not talking directly to the chat, that it's not live. No, we're having a discussion here, and the chat is supportive. So the chat is a support, not the focus. We don't focus on the chat. We focus on the conversation because that's why we're here. So I'm going to take this guy off the screen. HM. Yeah, thanks HM. HM grew up in the hood and was talking about the hood. Look, the hood is bad. We know the hood is bad. Don't go to the hood. I mean, there's really not much I can say about that. So hold on a second. Let me stop the share here.
There's always,
but you have to want to get out
in a cloud of doubt. I mean, I don't like the bonnet girls and all that kind of stuff either. But sometimes I find myself looking past certain things and I can still see beauty. Now, that doesn't always happen, but we have to be open to it at least. You know, there are people all over the world who try to emulate what blacks born in America do. Literally clothing, how we dance, how we move, how we talk. They're trying to keep up with what we're doing. So we must be doing something right.
Right.
And it's about
original soft power.
Come on now.
Well,
and how do the bonnet girls conduct themselves though? Because I'm a bonnet girl sometimes, but I also don't go in the store and act a fool. And the reason why I'm a bonnet girl is because I'm a model and I'm an actress, and sometimes my hair can't get wet because it's raining outside, so I'm wearing my bonnet. I do not care.
What you gonna do about it? It's the behavior. It's not the outfit as much as the behavior.
Exactly. I could wear long nails, I could wear big hoops, but it's depending on how I'm conducting myself when I'm in public. Because some people come up and say, "Oh my gosh, it's a great look," but some people say, "Oh my gosh, she looks ghetto," and the difference is the person
and what they've been exposed to. Because if every time there was a fight, there was a bonnet involved, then they would be inclined to believe that every time they see a bonnet, there's going to be a fight. Exactly. So they get trained wrong too.
Because if they don't say anything at all, you know what I mean? If they're not saying anything at all, I don't see anything wrong. If they're acting accordingly, what you're wearing doesn't really matter. And this is spoken for somebody who I'm always getting prejudged on what I'm going to do or say before I even say it, just by walking in the store, by having locks and just walking and being dark skinned. They always think they know what I'm going to say next. But
I would say that to a degree,
you're
a
pretty dark skinned guy. You're really a nice looking dark skinned guy.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to be fresh, okay? You're a baby to me. You're about as old as my son.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
No. Well, here's the thing though. When you come into a place looking a certain way, you might get an initial, "Hey, what do we have here?" Right. And then you open your mouth, you speak, people are like, "Oh, okay, this one's cool." So
exactly.
So the problem is, outside of our daily interaction with the world, the media doesn't push that image the way that they push the other images.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. I know 99% of the people I know are not doing anything wrong. They're just living their lives, working a job, coaching basketball or whatever they do, baseball, whatever.
Normal people.
Just normal out here people. But when they see black people, they see a violent culture. And then when they hear black music, they hear violent music. When they watch black movies, they see violent movies. So it's like we've embraced the stereotype. We don't do there's not a lot of black romance movies. People don't go see that shit. They like to see angry black people in a movie. They like to see fighting, things like that. They don't like to see black people in a cinematic beauty, like what Yvette is directing. like fences
They
and
just
stuff like
dropped
that.
one on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet. It's called Forever. The issue I have with it without even watching it is that it's about high school children. We don't have we don't have basically what you're saying, like black role models, like romance movies, and like just the everyday person. It's always like high school love and then it like falls off. I haven't even watched the show and I know that's exactly how it's gonna go.
And it's still promoting I hate to say it, but a lot of times it promotes dysfunction.
Right.
Nobody's truly connected. And the only images we see of ourselves seem to be negative images these days. But I feel like we've adopted that. So how do you change it if you don't just literally cut it all off and say, we're just not going to support any of it no more for like 5 years or something crazy like that? I don't see how you stop it. That's what I'm saying.
That's what we should do. I mean, look what happened. Look what's happening to Target right now. You know what I mean? We should. We need to stop. We need to vote with our value. Like I said before, we need to stop encouraging and patronizing things that cause a negative image for us.
Well,
it might be whole platforms sometimes.
And it's funny because HM put in the chat, why can't we attack the bad behavior the way that we attack racism? And basically, I think because if we attack the bad behavior the way we be attacking racism, the hood dudes might beat some people up.
No, what?
I'm just being honest. If we took some suburban guys, raised in the burbs, and they want to go down to the hood because they're upset with the behavior and like approaching the drug dealers on the corner, they might get into a squabble. And that might be dangerous. And I think that's why they don't do all that. That's why they don't do all them rallies and stuff in those areas. They always go to, DC, down the Monument, nice places. They don't go in the hood talking about the hood. The only time I saw that was, what was that, Freddie Gray? A few years back when they were down in Mondawmin. Yeah, I was in that parade by accident. Like I was riding my bike through Baltimore that day, and a whole movement was going on, and I'm coming up Pennsylvania Avenue and didn't know, and I was like, why are all these people in the street? And I'm revving the engine like, get out the way. You know how I did. I was a little ignorant like that. Then I found out, this was a Freddie Gray protest. I saw the signs. I said, that's what this is about. But that was the first time I seen the hood doing that. But then what do they do in the hood? They destroy it. They burn it up. They blow everything up. It's kind of like,
I've never understood.
Yeah, man, ain't nobody going to the hood to stop the hood from being the hood. Everybody that's in the hood that can get out the hood gets out of the hood. And if they stay in the hood stays in them until they die. And that's the part that's sad. It's like we can't just have a wake-up day, like, flash one of them things from Men in Black and everybody just morally is back on track. You know what I'm saying?
But what you're doing right now, what we're doing is our way of fighting or putting up the opposite of what racism says and what folks say. What we're doing right now
creating the content for
yes, we are we're moving forward with this conversation just because we're having it. We're not at each other's homes, saying negative things and playing shoot 'em up games or whatever. We're actually taking our time to do something productive. And we are actually pyramid builders. We're the ones that are doing some things that's going to last for a while, because maybe somebody's going to think when they hear what we have to say. But
the hood is the mentality. It's like, even if some people hear positive words, they look out their window and it requires a different type of behavior. Like, even if you are a decent student in some hoods, not all, a kid would be walking to school and knock his books down and bully him and all that kind of stuff because they didn't get an education. But if you're in an area where everybody's educated, these same things don't happen. And it's like, we can't just flood the hood with money because it's not going to change the mentality. So where does the mentality change without sacrificing your own self to go back to the hood and possibly be a victim of the hood? It's like, that's the divide right there.
What we're doing now is what we can do is providing a space with educated Black faces.
But we don't live in the hood.
But we can maybe get some people from the hood to watch what we're saying. You know what I mean? Because these hood, as we call it, ratchet behaviors, they don't exist in a bubble on their own. It's exposure, right? Nature versus nurture or whatever. Nobody's born ratchet, right? It's exposure. And so getting exposure to other things may help. I can't say it's a silver bullet, but it may help.
It may
and
help.
us putting our face into place and providing an alternative outlook on life, an alternative on how to try to pull yourself forward. Us providing that is a service right there. And we can have some other things that we can do as well. But right now we're laying the foundation.
And I appreciate
agree with
it.
that.
I really do. I really do.
I think
appreciate it.
controversy brings attention, and I think that the topics that we've discussed today are something that we have in common with everyone, not depending on like what background you come from. Basically, I'm saying not depending on that.
Right, correct.
But essentially, everyone here, even like Anvet and Ania said, like, okay, I don't know a lot about this trial, but we've all heard about it. So this controversy, these headlines that we have, even on these podcasts, are drawing audiences from all different types of walks of life. And then we've got multiple generations on the stream. So these are the conversations that we need to be having, because these are things that have been passed down. So I think it's amazing what we're doing. And I feel like this is definitely our essence of reparations, because we're repairing the spirits and the different things that happened before us.
And I'll be honest,
Yes.
I was thinking something very similar. I was thinking something very similar because I scrounged these internet streets, and I'll be honest, I have yet to see multiple generations of family in the same podcast. I've seen like a set of brothers. I've seen a couple, a few couples, but I've never seen multiple generations. And I've never seen them have these kind of conversations. Normally when they have men and women on the panels, it's to argue and like basically demean each other. So the fact that we're even having constructive communication between generations and sexes and geographical locations, states, red, blue, whatever the hell you want to call it, and we're just able to have conversation, this is something good for the next generation. I see what you're saying, because I didn't think about that. You don't see this anywhere. Now that I think about it, it's always arguing. When you bring men and women on the panel, different generations, you get somebody that's stuck in their ways and somebody else that don't care. And then before you know it, it becomes personal insults and I'm going to pull up on your house and all this other stuff. But we actually have conversation on this channel because we want to purge the BS. Because a lot of it is bullshit, and they get us caught up on the bullshit. So we get rid of that so we can have the real conversation. So I thank y'all for doing that with me today. I really do. This is awesome. We're going to have to, this might have to start being a thing. It might have to start being a thing. I like that the scope of the perspectives allows me to see even broader than I normally would. I'll be honest. I love it.
Good.
That's what's up.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm definitely down.
So we're getting ready to get out of here because we're about done. I normally try to keep it to an hour and a half, but for some reason it always gets to 2. So we are going to get ready to close out. Did anybody have anything coming up? I know that there was recently Fences. You said Fences was recently finishing up? Tomorrow. So, all right. Well, that's in California. So.
And they are fantastic actors. Oh my God. What beautiful people.
And she directed it. She put all of her talents from all the years that she has been doing the show business, acting, everything together to bring about the most beautiful artistic presentation. I've already heard. That's why I had to come, because that's what we do. We support each other, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's what we do. Period. Yeah. But
Well,
thank
this is
you guys.
awesome. Yeah,
Nice
this is awesome.
talking to you.
All right, well, I'm gonna give a couple
Good seeing
shouts
y'all
and then
again.
we're getting out of here, guys. So just a couple shouts to H&M in the chat, or just HM in the chat. Purple Groovy stopped through. We had, of course, us. Anthony 79, no reply. And Big Body Inc. stopped in, and of course, us. So I always give everybody shouts because, I know this is a tough channel to be on because we have real conversations. It's not a bunch of ratchetness in the chat. It's not on the stream. They would rather us be up here arguing and calling each other every name in the book. I guarantee if that's what we did on this stream, we'd go viral for that. But what they don't want to see is us unifying across gender, generations, and location. If we can do that in a grand sense, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So I thank you guys for coming out. I thank everybody for stopping in the chat for another Purge of the BS. The Tuesday show is going to be an evening show. for those that'll come back on Tuesday, because I have a graduation to go to Tuesday morning. So we're going to be doing that, and then I'll do the Tuesday show in the evening. So I'm probably going to be pretty pumped up after that graduation. Congratulations to Andrew for his graduation class of 2025. So
go Andrew.
Yeah. So he gets an applause for that. And for anybody that's out there that's not at least taking an interest in the next generation, that, my friends, is the bullshit. And we out. Thanks, guys.